to another episode of Two Scrippers, One Motherfucking Pole. It is your girl, Mango, aka Temptress Mango, the real Mistress Goddess Princess. If you're new here, just try to stay with me as long as possible. If you are OG, y'all, as I always fucking say, it's been a month. It's been a month. Or it's a lot. It's a lot and it's been a month. A month of a lot, okay? So the last time I recorded was actually a month ago, but the last episode I released was also almost a month ago. And oh Lord have mercy. So a lot happened as always. The gist of today's episode, because also if you're new here, I'm a yapper and I go off on tangents. So what I'm mainly going to be talking about today is spiritually bypassing things, as well as embodiment. I feel like those are the two main things that I want to touch on. Those are the themes of this episode, and I'll just, I kind of just ramble and then we get to the point. So I have some like notes that I definitely want to talk about, but we'll see how this episode unfolds. But anywho, before I get into that, a couple of announcements. One, I finally finished my fucking food play class, y'all. Oh my God. After 7 months of like just creating it and building it. I've taught it at EXXXOTICA. I taught at EXXXOTICA DC for the first time in person, and then I taught it at Chicago. I talk more about that in episode 63. Chicago makes me sharp. And I think I talked about EXXXOTICA. Yeah, I did talk about EXXXOTICA DC in episode 60, and then I had recorded episode 59 right just before I was going to teach in DC. So yeah, I originally started building the course back in October for Mistress Marley's House of Dominance, and it has just transformed into my masterpiece. And it's still, I finally felt comfortable at a space where it's launched, it's live. So definitely go check that out. The link is below. So food play, the course is Feed Your Senses, the complete collection. So in this course, I am talking about food play in kink and BDSM and how it is really one of the most acceptable kinks and fetishes compared to some other things, but people don't use it as creatively as they possibly could, and how food play is it's just so much more than just like forcing somebody to eat something or making somebody eat something, and all the like nuances that can come into it, the way that it's a beautiful course. So I talk about food play in like kink dynamics, whether that is, and a lot of it, whether you are new to kink and BDSM or whether you are like, I just stumbled across your YouTube page and I honestly have no fucking idea what the hell you're talking about, but like I'm a little bit intrigued. It is also something that you can incorporate in your own pleasure practices, which I kind of talked about in last episode, that I had attended a pleasure summit. And even that idea of like, maybe it doesn't always have to be the sexual thing. Like maybe I just had a really, really hard day, or your partner had a really, really hard day. And so when they come home, you sit down and you debrief, or, you talk about your day, or you just spend quality time together. And in that quality time, maybe you offer them their favorite piece of chocolate cake, or you offer yourself your favorite snack. And you have like the sensations that get born from that moment with the food. So looking at food play in terms of a dynamic, again, whether that's with someone else or yourself, looking at it in forms of content creation, whether you are a kinky, spicy content creator or not, and then also in spiritual practices. And so I will say that like I'm still at a spot in my own spirituality where I don't feel comfortable sharing rituals or spells or anything, the things that I do, because I'm still in that, like, you know, observation period of like, okay, what does it even feel like to connect with this spirit and this energy of this herb or this food or whatever, this planet, and building my own personal relationships with that and just learning as I go. And that really is what spirituality is just like figuring it out. So there's no like rituals or anything that are included in it, but it is a way to be like, you know, more considerate of, okay, how can I use these foods in my own spiritual practice? Again, whether that is doing work with someone else, like your partner or a sub or whatever, or if it's something, you know, that you're doing with yourself, and kind of just giving you some foundations and some food for thought of how you might incorporate that. So yes, yes, yes. Feed Your Senses. The complete collection is now available. It really is just like the stepping stone in how I'm planning to continue to carry this out. And I will also, if you find yourself in Minneapolis, for EXXXOTICA Minneapolis, this is the first time they got rid of DC, unfortunately, and now EXXXOTICA is now in Minneapolis. So this will be the first time there, and I will be teaching Feed Your Senses in person. I will have a shout out Mr. Satori. She will be an assistant for me, and then I also have my good friend the Naked Trumpeter who will be there and also be assisting me. And then who knows, I may have a sub, a good boy or a girl, or they them, okay? Because I also want to touch on that like assumption that like all the clients got to be men. No. I accept whoever comes, respects my time and energy, and got the money to pay for it, okay? So if you find yourself as a, you know, whoever's listening or watching, you know, if you find yourself wanting to serve the real Mistress Goddess Princess, make sure you go to mangosparadise.com and fill out that application and read, because I hate a motherfucker that don't read, okay? But yeah, so I will be at EXXXOTICA Minneapolis, it's June 26th through the 28th. And my food play course will be on Saturday night. So yes, yes, yes. If you are in the area or you are like, what is that? I don't know what that is. If you're in the area, or you're looking for something to do so you can be in the area, definitely go check that out, and get your tickets to EXXXOTICA and come see what all the hype is about. So that's announcement number one. So then announcement number two, which I'm really excited about, and also kind of plays into the stuff that I'm talking about in just a moment. I promise I'll get there. If you are interested in learning how to be a dominatrix or fetish content creation, and just building, what is this world, this crazy ass world that I be in? If you are interested, I am hosting on June 24th a live Zoom, Domination 101, Build Your Brand, Rule Your World. So the access to the tickets are in the bio. This is for, of course, my women. I love my women, but for my theys and thems as well. If you are a man and you identify as a man, don't come over here, okay? This is for my other people. If you are a man, again, if you try and serve the real Mistress Goddess Princess, make sure you read my motherfucking website and follow the details, mangosparadise.com, okay? But yeah, so how did I get there? Because I honestly had originally been in a space where I knew that this was something that I wanted to do, but I really didn't feel like I was going to be offering it. I don't know if y'all can hear that, because sometimes this might be picking up stuff and sometimes it don't, but I knew that it was going to be something I eventually found myself offering, but I did not think that I was going to be doing it here and now. So in May, May was a very interesting month. Like, honestly, literally after I recorded, because I believe I recorded the last episode I released on May 3rd. Literally, when I went home that night, let me tell y'all something. When I went home night, God, source, universe, my ancestors, spirit was like, okay, bitch, you was You was talking about authenticity. You was really into it. So it's time to fucking put your money where your mouth is. And I was just like, I was not ready. So I guess I'll really start from there and just kind of how I got here. Because at the time of this recording, I think today is June 5th. So it's been just about a month since I recorded. So I had mentioned how I was supposed to be going to the beach with some family, and I was supposed to be driving, and then like some shit happened and it just didn't work out. But I got called to voluntarily repossess my car. I got called to voluntarily repossess my car. So my insurance had ended up lapsing, and I was supposed to drive. So I was in this moment of just like, okay, well, like, you know, I can drive safe. It'll be okay, da da da. But then I felt like this intense. And this is something that like already, so before I even get into this moment right here, this was something, this goes into the spiritual bypassing of it all, right? So this was already something that like, I didn't have the idea to voluntarily repossess it per se, but I had been fighting. I got my car, and I've talked a little about this here and there throughout the episodes I released this season. But back in 2024, when I first jumped into so this was like shortly after, or maybe around the same time after I released the season finale of episode of season 2, and I was talking about, you know, the law of attraction, and, you know, I'm gonna be a millionaire and blah blah blah, and I was like real hype, and I was like, I'll be back later, y'all. So that's when I first dived into law of attraction, and I still had my car before the car that I ended up financing, and I was just like, oh, like, I was just so pumped up by the law of attraction. And I was like, oh, life is so easy, da da da. And so I was like, well, let's just play. Let's see what happens. And so one of the things, I think it might have been Bob Proctor or somebody, whatever I was reading and listening to, because I just went down a rabbit hole and just started reading and listening to any and everything law of attraction. And one of the things was like, you know, put yourself in the position. Like, how are you going to say how are you going to say that you want a new car, but you've never even afforded yourself the opportunity to go to a car dealership, look at cars, and test drive a car, right? Nobody said you had to leave the lot with a car, but like, you are just automatically shutting yourself down and saying like, no, this isn't even a possibility for you. So, you know, I was just like, okay, fuck it, we're gonna go. So me and my friend went, and of course, he just be looking at me like, girl, you are delusional. But like, you know, I am. And I love being delusional. It gets, you know, it makes for a fun story time because we're here. So I went, and they didn't have the specific car that I wanted. I was like, you know what? I've always told myself like I couldn't afford a brand new car, and like, just again going immediately to like, no, I can't have this, and not even affording myself the playful idea of doing it. So I was like, well, fuck it, let's go. So I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go big or go home, because again, I was in the mindset of like, the minute I say that it's mine, then it's mine, and it's gonna come to me effortlessly with no, like, I was just really pumped up, like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get because at this point it was still 2024, so I had got the 2024. I was like, I'm gonna get me a 2024 Toyota RAV4, and I'm gonna get the full package with the weather, and I want it in this color, and da-da-da, I want this and this and this. Like, I'm gonna do it big, because it's just like, it's mine, right? So I started looking, and honestly, I think even before I did that, what even made me go down that, so I received a random letter in the mail from, and I almost forgot about this, I received a random letter in the mail from the dealership I ended up going to. And they were like, hey, because I had a RAV4 before this, but like a way older model. It was like a 98. And they were like, if you need any service done or something, it was like something, but basically kind of offering me like a deal to go get my car serviced there, and then also potentially look at cars. And I'm just like, this is random. So I started just looking into like, okay, what's the possibility of getting a brand new car, like fresh off the brakes, da da da. Like, so then I went and they didn't have what I wanted specifically. I was like, no, it has to be this color. I want this package, da da da. So of course the dude was like, oh, well, you can always get this car and you could paint it and you could do this and you could do that and da da da. And I was like, no, I want this. And he was like, so if I find you this car, you're gonna get it. And I was like, yeah, but you need to get this car first. So I think I went on like a random like Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. And by that Saturday, I left with that car. Like they called me and they were like, hey, we found this car. Like it's a brand new fucking car, 0 mileage. Like when you get it though, there's gonna be like 200 miles on it because we have to go out and get it and bring it to you. And I was like, yeah, fine. So I like traded in my old car to get this. And I was just like, wow, it happened so quickly. And when I did this at the time, I hadn't left like my job yet. So I was like, okay, it is a bit of a stretch for me to like do this car note and do this, but like I'm invincible. I can do it. It's all going to work out for me. So I was just like, okay. And again, I was leaning on that fact of like, I never even afforded myself. I just said, no, I can't afford a car note. No, I can't afford car insurance on a car, because when you finance a car, you have to get comprehensive insurance. So I was just like, no, 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 no. And I was like, again, I could do it. It might be a bit of a stretch. It might make it a little tight, but I can do this. So did it. And so part of that was like, now I feel like one thing that was happening, that was coming up for me, was that like I don't want to basically kind of avoid what I'm doing right now. Like this idea of embarrassment and shame of like, you know, the I told you so. It's like, I told you couldn't afford that car. I told you not to get that car in the first place. And I've had some people who told me that was like, I told you should have talked to people before you went all delusional and shit, whatever. And went to go get this. I told you couldn't afford that. So it was me at the point of like trying to avoid that. But then also like, I was like, well, the car came to me so easily. And again, I've talked about how like some things have come to me so fucking easily that I'm just like, it has no choice but to fucking work out for me, right? But then it got to a point where, ironically, this time last year, so then, and I had wanted to come back in the season. I wanted to start my season earlier, but last year was like a fucking like whirlwind of just shit and trying to figure my fucking life out. And I'm sure that was like that a lot for people last year as well, because if you know, for my spiritual folks or numerology folks, last year was the year of 9. It was the year of the snake. It was Oya's year. So just in that, there's like a lot of just like breaking down and shedding and releasing and all this shit coming up. And it was like, okay, like all this shit is coming up. You gotta fucking do something. Like you say you want this change to come, you have to be in the thick of it to fucking realize. So it was just like last year, it was definitely a lot of parts. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, and it was so much that I went through, like the back and forth of like, am I really doing what the fuck I'm supposed to? But then it would be moments of confirmation that it's like, girl, yes, like you know. And I've said before, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. There's a lesson in everything. And so I found myself going back to that over and over again of like, yo, like part of it was pride. Like I ain't come this far to fucking like not do the shit that I said I was gonna do, and I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. So part of it was like me coming from a ego perspective of like, nah, I am who the fuck I said I am, and I'm gonna do this shit despite what anybody said. And then some of it, like, it was really teaching me to surrender and like, and also detachment, which I'll get a little bit deeper into, because again, like, so basically last year in March, like the end of March, I think March 29th was when I made the decision to step down from my part-time job and become a full-time spicy worker. And again, I was running off fumes and delusion. Like, it's gonna work out for me and it's gonna be so easy. Because I mentioned in episode 59 that like I had that knife flirt call where I had a motherfucker drop $1,200 on me in fucking 30 minutes or less than 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, you ain't said shit, right? So I think I might move because my phone is like directly in the sun and I don't want it to overheat. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, a lot of it was me just being like really prideful and like, no, I said I was gonna do this shit. It's gonna work out for me. It has no choice but to work out for me. And just dealing, like I had so many really tough realizations. And I had mentioned how last year I had chose my word of the year to be awareness. And I found myself constantly, like when I really sat back and looked at last year, it's like, one, I had even fucking forgot that I had chose that word. But then once I remembered that I chose that word, I was like, wow, like I can see how much of me actually did move with awareness. And even now that I have that separation, like remembering the moments that I did forget to be aware and in the moment of my feelings, of what's going on, of just like being connected with something greater than myself. Now that I have the awareness of when I was forgetting, that makes me aware again, because I can distinguish between that moment and now, and I can use those moments where I was forgetting to inform how I'm moving forward. So for this year, and originally I wasn't going to share my word. I was just going to wait until the end of the year. But it has literally kept coming up. And I find myself in this moment again of like, I almost forget that that's the word that I chose to use. And then here I am remembering. So the word that I chose for this year was embodiment. And I've been finding myself in all of these spaces where I'm now being forced to, or I'm not going to say forced, but yeah, I'm going to say forced. I'm now being like, and I say forced with so much light, like the universe was like, bitch, you said you wanted to embody shit. So here go to the spaces you need to be in so that you can learn how to embody this shit and trust that it is going to work out for you. And so I also, if you ever come across this girl, hey, Taylor girl. So I've also mentioned in a lot of my episodes about Beyond Taylor and how I came across. So back in October, I think it was right after my grandma died. And this was like, I think I mentioned in episode 59 that like, so one thing at a time. So this time last year, June of last year, literally like this week last year, that's when it just seemed like if May was a little rough, and May this year was a little rough, but then it just felt like June was the icing on the cake. Like me and my partner, that like we were just like, that's when we split, and that was devastating. And then that's when like I started getting letters from the bank, and all these things are like, oh, your shit is we're gonna sue you if you don't bring the money for this, and you got this. And I had like collectors calling me left and right, and I'm like, oh my God, like I gotta pay the bank, I still gotta pay these bills. How am I gonna, that's when I started going default on my car. And I'm just like, what the fuck do I do? How did I get here? And I was trying so hard to just be like, it's all gonna work out for me, it's all gonna work out for me. And now I can see that even though like it working out for you does not mean that it's going to be easy, because life is still life. And as I've been talking about this season, it's like your perspective is everything, right? Because you can go down a spiral, or you can choose to see that like this. In something that Taylor had said is that I'm available for things to escalate quickly in my favor, and understanding that sometimes it is those hard things, those hard choices that need to be made in order for the better things to come in. And so yeah, like I found myself last year. This is where I really feel like, and even before, but especially last year, I found myself in like the thick of spiritually bypassing. And so basically, spiritually bypassing is when you are like, it's like the toxic positivity of like truly, you know, just like, oh, I have to be in the right state of mind all the time. Like my thoughts create my reality, which is true. However, comma, the part, and this is where I'm working with Taylor now, or I just technically finished. She had a 3-day masterclass called Stay in the Magic. And like, what do you do when, you know, your reality isn't showing you what you know to be true for yourself, and how do you still hold that, and how do you stop looking to the external to validate that, like, you know it's going to work out for you, you know that like you are your millionaire self, right? So even though my bank account don't got $1 million in it in this moment, your girl's a millionaire. Okay, y'all heard it here motherfucking first. Okay, and if you are a sub watching this, you need to motherfucking cash at me $ Temptress Mango, or go to my throne or something, make it happen. Okay, anyway, so yeah, it was like I kind of lost my train of thought. The spiritually bypassing. So like this toxic positivity of like, oh, I just need to think my way into the feeling. I need to think my way. And it's like, that's why affirmations don't work. Because again, like if you're looking at your bank account and you're negative, or you got less than $10, or you don't have enough money to even meet your basic needs, saying I'm a money magnet, I'm a millionaire is not going to do nothing for you, because the bills are knocking at your door and you clearly don't have $1 million, and you're scared to death of like, where the fuck is this money coming from? So that, and then also just like the aspect of like, I was leaning on the universe to take care of everything for me. Like, oh, I know y'all got me. Y'all not gonna let me be down bad, da 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 da. So it was just like, you know, doing all of my magic and all this stuff, and just like, oh yeah, like I'm calling in this money and it's gonna come. And I think I mentioned it in Niggas Like Noses too, where I had said that, you know, um with the like money magic, I would find myself like, you know, I'll do it, I'll get my candles burning, and it's like, you know, when I'm reading all this stuff, or the readings that I get are like, yeah, that money is coming in, like, girl, you don't got to worry about shit, right? But then, so I'm just kind of relying on that and ignoring the part that I have to play to allow that to come in, and to allow for me to receive that, right? And just like, oh yeah, the universe. So how this brings me back to my car. Did I finish? Well, I want to say, before I get back to that, because I know I started a point with Taylor, how I came across her work. So, you know, I found myself in a space of like, okay, well, maybe I would get so many creative downloads like, oh, this could work for me. This could work for me. This is how I'm going to get here. And I would put so much energy into this thing that I thought was like, this is going to be the thing, for it to not do anything. Nothing will come of it. Like, even, so the food play course, I said I spent 7 months building that, but then before that, in 2024, I think either just before I got my car, or just after, I had this brilliant idea to come up with a a daily journal, a 3-month, a 90-day journal that incorporates art therapy and, you know, gratitude and writing and affirmations and all these different parts. I spent like 2 or 3 months working on that, and since then I've had 2 sales since 2024, and one of them was a pre-sale that I had at a pop-up shop that I was doing. And then the second sale, the lady who bought the first one, she came and she ordered it to gift to somebody else, and that thing ain't been touched since, right? But also, I think I mentioned this in the last episode, or one of the episodes, that also, that for me is not something I'm passionate about it, but it's not something I'm super pushing right now, because also my vision for that is to be a physical journal, because of like that art aspect. So it's something that I'm just like, okay, let me push that to the side for now. So yeah, I just found myself in this space of like, this is going to be the thing. This is the thing, going to be the thing that's going to make me a millionaire. And then just feeling so burnt out and tired and ready to give up, and like starting to listen to everything that everybody else was saying. Like, girl, go back to teaching before your certification expires. Go do this. Apply for this job. Oh, you're not trying hard enough. Like, you were the one that was supposed to make it out, and you're so smart, and you're this, and like, why don't you have anything to show for yourself? And really absorbing that of like, damn, maybe I really did fuck up, right? So taking that, and I finally just got to a point where I came across her video, which I'll also tag below, where it was like, do nothing and have everything. And I reached a point where I was like, all right, like, I've literally tried everything. Let's just see. And one of the things that she was talking about, and I think I talked about this in episode 60. Yeah, I did talk about it in episode 60. But who are you being, and moving from that space of like, you just have to embody the identity that you are claiming, and that'll inform what you do, how you move, and then that gives you what you want, that you're able to have what you want. So who are you being, and that's going to inform what you do so that you can have what you want. That's how I interpret it, right? So, but the idea of like, doing nothing isn't a scapegoat for people to just be like, spiritually bypass and be like, okay, I said I want this thing. Let me just pretend to be this person and go about the day. Like, no, you still have to do shit because we live in a physical world, right? And so I found myself spiritually bypassing that, like, okay, I said that I want to do this, and I'm gonna just be this person, and I'm doing things, but again, I'm not actually listening and sitting with like, what actually feels aligned for me in this moment. Like, what do I truly have to do to embody this version of me that I am claiming, and that I know is true, and that I know exists? Because I've done read so many damn books. I've done so many fucking meditations. I done joined so many master classes and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, listen, your girl is rightfully delusional. Like, this shit literally has no choice but to work out for me. And I've had so many confirmations of just like, I'm on the right path, because I wouldn't have had as many successful moments I have had in the sex work industry. I wouldn't have met so many beautiful people. There wouldn't have been so many synchronicities for me if this wasn't where I was meant to be and what I'm supposed to do with my life. I wouldn't be so happy. And like, is crazy as my life has been since 2022, really 2021, but since 2022, like, I am the happiest I've ever been. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so happy. So, anywho, so as I've talked about, I am on this journey to rebuild and strengthen my relationship with myself, with the universe, and with money, because we have all this attachment to money and what that means, what that says about us. So, oh, again, the point that I didn't finish though is like, the idea of doing nothing though is like, okay, what I got from that was, I'm feeling the urge to do this thing because I think that this is going to be the solution. But instead, sit with that and see how that really feels, and choose to do nothing. Like, stop trying to put a band-aid on it, or stop trying to like, pivot, and just do the thing, sit with it, see how that shows up, and then move forward. But like, you just keep moving and don't even give it a chance to settle. And so the idea of just like, I remember that day after I watched it, I think in the video she gave the challenge of like, don't do anything. I said, I was at Bad Bitch's house and I was sitting on the couch and I was so uncomfortable. And this was like shortly after my grandma died too. So I was just going through a lot. Like, it was a lot happening. And at this point, I think I taught the food play class online so far, but I hadn't taught it in person yet. And I didn't know that I had applied to EXXXOTICA DC, but I hadn't heard back yet. But we had just got back from EXXXOTICA New Jersey. So that was the first time that I had really truly saw myself of like, okay, I can teach at these conventions in person. So yeah, I'm just sitting here just like, all right, like let me do nothing. And I think this day was literally like the day where cuz last year what happened was I had got the notice from the bank that like we're going to sue you if you don't pay this balance, and you know, you got to do this and da da da. And thankfully, I love my mom. She bailed me out. She bailed me out of the situation that I was in. So I was like, all right, good. Like we're good. And then here we go. By October, because this was like June, July, and I had ended up like I was trying to avoid telling her, and then I told her at the last minute, and of course she expressed her disappointment, and she was like, I shouldn't even help you, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And so that's a whole nother story for another day of unpacking that. But so she did it, and then I was like, okay, so now I'm in this space of like, this has to work out. Like I can't come back like not letting it work out. So then I go to fast forward, and I'm back in this space of like, for the most part, everything is good. But here, this bank, because I have multiple bank accounts, so this bank was like, bitch, you got till this specific day to make some shit shake, or it's not working. And I think it was like in the negative, like $800, right? And I had been just like, you know, oh, spirit, like this is gonna come, this is gonna come. And then finally it didn't, and they shut my shit down. And I was just like, all right, on to the next. Like what? And I had to sit. That was such an intense moment for me of like, damn. And I almost felt like the universe didn't have my back. Like it was supposed to be easy. Why didn't the fuck y'all show up for me in that moment, right? But then, you know, I've created enough space for that to again to see just how everything has unfolded for me. Because I say even in back in February, and I talked about this in Niggas Like Noses too, but I talked about how my other bank account randomly was like, yeah, bitch, we not doing nothing with you no more. And I was able to have enough space and distance, and my understanding of, or the meaning and story that I chose to attach to that, instead of saying like, oh my God, here we go again, like you can't hold on the money, you can't do this. It was a chance for me to sit with money longer and move my money slower, because I still had like a separate online banking account. And at this point I was starting to move into the foot parties, and you know, I had my in-person sessions in Chicago, so I had cash in hand. So it allowed me to like physically have a physical representation of money and be more aware of like what is cash like, instead of just swiping my card and hoping it don't get declined, or like, you know, hoping that this is where it needs to be. And so it's like that slower movement of like, okay, I have this cash now, I go, you know, I can sit with it, I can, you know, put aside for this is my spending money, and I can make sure that this amount of money is in the account, in whatever savings account, or is there's enough for this. And so it allowed me to repair my relationship with money and sit with money longer, and hold money, instead of saying like, as soon as it comes to me, it has to be dished out. So yeah, we get to this year, and to the decision that I decided to you know, let go of my car, it hit me that like I was not choosing the path of least resistance. This should not be this, like if this car was truly meant for me, it should not be this fucking hard, bro. It just shouldn't. But of course, there was like the part of me that was like, well, how are you a dom that gets money and you can't even like, because also this is the part, the spiritually bypassing too, the part that was like really upsetting, and I was just like, universe, please come through. The car was only $40,000, right? Which honestly, in $40,000 is not a lot. Now, however, have I ever had $40,000 at one point in my possession? No. However, that, you know, like that's the life I'm calling in. $40,000 is chump change. Like I'm calling in a life where I can I can go to the bank and fucking pull out $100,000 if I want to, and just buy that shit fresh off the lot and go about my day and not have to worry about anything, right? So when I really put it into perspective, $40,000, and I think like 46, I think was like the full, because I when I said I go big or go home, I got the weather package, I got the motherfucking like VIP service, so I ain't have to pay for oil changes, and I don't have to do this and I don't have to do that. Like I was like, fuck it, we're gonna fucking ball. And my ideology with that too was that, like, all it takes is one motherfucking whale sub to find me. One whale sub at the very least, and that car could either be. And so for anybody who doesn't know what a whale sub is, generally speaking, a whale sub is a person that can send like a minimum of $10,000 multiple times. Basically, I would say for me, my classification of a whale sub is like, you could just drop $10,000 and keep it pushing, but just because you spent the 10,000 at one time, like, are you able to repeat that? So yeah, I'm like, it takes one fucking whale sub to come into my vortex, and that car is paid off in as little as a month or as long as like 5 months, right? If it's a little rough, like, but anywhere between a month and 5 months, I will have a completely brand new paid off car. So that was the idea that I was holding on to, like, universe, let this work out, let this work out. And it wasn't working that way. I found myself, and like when I sat down and did the audit, I was like, I can genuinely say, like, this year is like every single month my income has increased. And when I made the decision to finally, when it hit me like it shouldn't be this hard, I was like, January there was an increase, February there was an increase, March there was an increase, April was my highest month. And I'm like, oh yeah, we up from here, like, let's go forward. And then May hit, and May was like, actually, May was my lowest month. May was lower than January. And I was just like, what the fuck? But also, what I will say is that I was able to sit with that because of all of the preparation I've had this year and what I've been doing. So seeing how, like, going back to that, like, everything happens for a reason, and it's like, we can sit with the hard things. So, like, I kind of almost expected May to be a bit of a, like, a dip, because like I was saying in Niggas Like Noses Too, is that I had went to Jamie C's class, her seated wealth challenge, and she was talking about how, like, this, your nervous system recalibrating, and like, it was that easy because I made $2,000 in less than 3 days. And I remember when, I wasn't even making $2,000 in a whole month. Like, that is a big fucking deal, right? So of course, consciously, I'm like, oh yeah, it's up from here. I went back to my night flirt days, like, oh yeah, y'all can't tell me shit. Like, so I just knew we were on the up. And I was just like, oh, it's going to be easy. And so when I sat down and looked at everything, I was like, honestly, I'm now making enough money to afford the things that I have in my life. I only need give or take, and including savings, I only need $3,000 a month, which is like nothing, right? But for some people, it's a lot, right? And I remember being in a space where that was a lot. So it was like, I only need $3,000 a month. And so now I'm finally at the space of, like, I can say I'm bringing that in, either a little bit less or a little bit above, but like, I've been bringing in a good amount of money, but now it's like I'm not really making that money because I'm still caught up in this, like, payback loop of, like, technically I'm bringing in the amount of money I need, but it's really not enough because I still have old bills that I'm going back to pay. And now because I haven't paid them, there's like extra fees added on and all this. Oh, I thought somebody was behind me. And it's all this extra stuff, and it hit me, and it was like the path of least resistance. It shouldn't be this hard, and it shouldn't be this stressful. For, like, you shouldn't even be trying to figure out how. Like, the moment you ask yourself, how is this gonna work, you've already lost the fucking plot, right? So it hit me, and then I was just like, okay, kind of somewhat in the house space of, like, okay, well, like, how do I move forward from here? And I had already been getting, like, messages of, like, ironically, whenever I would sit at my altar, and it was other times too, but it would get loud when I was at my altar. But that idea of, like, is it just me and my doubts, or is it really a message from the universe or my ancestors or whatever? And so, and is it like it's just me and my doubts, and like me feeling guilty? And I found every time I would sit near my altar, it would be like, before shit had hit the fan, it's like, get rid of the car, like, just like a little nudge. And I would just shut up. Like, that's just me and my doubts, right? Bypassing. Like, if I'm sitting in front of a candle, doing my magic, doing my chanting, feeling the energy, and then it's get rid of the car. And I'm like, no, stop. We're focused on the energy we're bringing in. So this particular day, all the spirits in the universe was yelling at my ass, like, bitch, get rid of the car. So I was just like, and I felt, and it would not go away. And then I started spiraling and like, oh my God, if I drive my car, then I'm gonna get maybe, this is gonna happen or this is gonna happen. And then I'd be like, no, don't go down that thought. Like, we're gonna think positive thoughts. It's all gonna be okay. This is not gonna happen. That's not your reality. And so I kept like going back and forth. And then like my body just started feeling like, oh, like it felt like I was in a compactor. And I just had to stop everything I was doing, and I barely got any sleep that night because then again, like I had mentioned, I was supposed to drive to the beach. So then I had to get up and be like, yeah, so psych a boo boo, can't drive, sorry guys. And they're all just like, what the fuck? So then that forced me to then say what was happening, and that was like, oh my God, the embarrassment and shame, and then like, the anger and everything, and just like feeling like, oh my God. So it was a lot. But we worked through it. We ended up going to the beach, and it was a much needed vacation. Much just grateful for that it still worked out. And that I was still afforded that opportunity, even though like I felt bad that I was even like, oh, I don't want to take this trip away from you guys, so like y'all still go without me. And they were just like, girl, if you don't shut the fuck up and come on, but you're still driving. So went, and then while I was there, that's when I felt called to like, I started messaging my friend, and I asked her, what was that? Because I remember her telling me that she had did that, and I was like, what was that process like? And she was like, honestly, and I talked to one of my other friends, Bad Bitch. She said that she had that experience too. She's like, it's not as bad as fucking seems. It's really not that big of a deal. You'll be okay. And like, yeah, it's a hard decision to make, but it's not the end of the world. And after I decided to, like, after I said, okay, I'm done with this car, y'all, the sense of relief that I felt was enormous. Like, of course, I was still disappointed and like, damn. And still part of me was like, yo, like, okay, I said I'm gonna do it, but like, universe, come through for your girl. Make this shit happen. Like, still wanting to be delusional, but also accepting that, like, okay. And it's the other part of that too is like asking the universe for a sign. So I had asked, like, I have a specific symbol for if something should be a yes and if something should be a no. And so my thing for a no was if I see a dead bird. If I'm asking a specific question and then I say, show me this for a yes, show me this for a no. So my no is a dead bird. And I've like found myself also kind of just like before I made the decision to repo my car, I was asking like, okay, is this what I need to do? Because this is, again, before shit had hit the fan. I'm just like, teetering the fence. And I did not see any sign. I'm like searching for something, like, please give me something. And the universe was like, no, like the fact that you have to ask this question and that you're so desperate for this answer, you already know what the fuck you need to do, right? So again, I'm looking for a dead bird. Well, I'm not looking for a dead bird. I'm anxious. I'm looking for the thing that tells me yes. But then I'm like, kind of hyper vigilant and like pre-disappointing myself if I were to see a dead bird. So after I made this decision to be like, okay, fuck it, I'm going to repo the car. And so I was like, I'm not going to worry about it right now. We're on vacation. We'll deal with it when I get back home. When we were on vacation, I'm driving. And then I see not a dead bird, but I saw a bird in the street trying to fly away, but its wing was broken. Just one wing. So it was like out the way. And I was like, okay. And so how I interpreted that was like, yes, you need to move forward with like getting rid of the car. Like, no. So the no isn't like, no, don't keep the car. But it like the fact that the bird was still flying, it was like, but you're going to be okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. Just let go of the fucking car. So, okay, cool. Did that. And then, everybody's like, well, what are you going to do now? And you don't have a car and it's on a third and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I didn't even get my license till I think I was like 20 or maybe 21 or something. I was like, I know how to use a bus. I know how to do the train. Granted, when Uber first came out, it was $3 and then bitches be costing like 60, 70 now. But like, if I need to catch an Uber somewhere, if I really have somewhere to be, I can just catch a fucking Uber or ask somebody for a ride. Like, and you know, between car insurance, gas prices right now, and the car note, like, I could still, you know, as that money is coming in, I can use it to save more, but also put it towards, you know, things that need to be paid and paid down, or, you know, experiences that are going to help me embody myself more. So I was just like, it's okay, like, it's fine, and this doesn't mean anything about me. So made that decision literally at the very beginning of May. But I just at I literally, they came to pick up my car yesterday, because even then, like, I had made the initial call while I was still at the beach, and they were like, oh, well, if you're not with the car right now, I will wait a couple days, because like they could come in like a day or two to come pick up the car, and like you would need to be with the car because we need the keys, and then you also need to get the tag. So I was like, okay. So then I had joined another community, and you know, some of the readings that were happening were talking about, you know, spirit really does have your back, and it's going to work out, and like open yourself up to the possibilities. So then I found myself in somewhat of a space of spiritually bypassing, of like, okay, I already made the decision that I'm going to let go of the car. Now let me see, because there was negative equity in the car. Because let me tell you something, my baby Luna, let me tell you something, Luna, I love you, girl, and whoever gets Luna next, y'all better motherfucker take care of my girl, because oh, like, I was ripping and running with Luna, like, in the car. It was like I was talking to my friend, shout out Goddess Megami Unicorn. I was talking to her, and she was like, girl, like, Luna, because Luna, we, me, bad bitch, and Goddess Delana, like, we drove down to New Orleans, and then I drove down to Atlanta. I went to Atlanta quite a few times. Like, I didn't drive to Chicago. I would go up to Harrisburg to see BB all the time. Like, so I was ripping and running. Me and Luna, we was tight. We was doing shit. We was getting shit done, right? So it was like, you know, I can be grateful for the experiences I got. Like, Luna got me far. Like, Luna got me where I am today, and I can be so grateful for that. So yeah, it was definitely negative equity, because I want to say she has, if I got her with 200 miles on it and she was a 2024, I put at least 30,000 miles, if not more, less than 35,000, somewhere between 30,000 and 35,000 miles on that bitch. Like, we was ripping and running for real. And I hadn't even had her for 2 years. So negative equity for sure. And so that was the other reason. I'm like, okay, well, I try to like research, okay, well, what if I trade in the car? What if I do this? Blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, no, bitch, you either have to repo it, or about $10,000 has to fall out of the sky. Which, again, I went back to a whale sub or multiple subs sending me $1,000. Like, it's not out of the question to get $10,000 that quickly. Like, I can make some shit shake, right? So I found myself then spiritually bypassing in that way of like, okay, well, I made the decision to let go of the car, so now come through. And I let a month go by and nothing was happening. So I was like, all right. And so then also I realized that, okay, that bee was like right in my ear, y'all. Oh my God. I realized that in May, I was already like, I had a reading with Loren Janelle. I love her. I love her content. She's just as amazing as she is online. But she was basically telling me that, like, things do not look as bad. Like, your reality is not real. And I don't mean that delusionally. It's just that, like, you know, like, truly the worst has happened. Like, it's only up from here. And what this is teaching you right now, because I was telling her, I was like, you know, I'm trying not to attach too much to like, April was such a good month and now I'm like kind of in this famine mode and I don't know what to do with that. And like, I'm trying not to attach to that because I understand that just like nature is cyclical. I am cyclical. Like this experience is cyclical. Like I know that right now I just need to be grounding myself in this moment and like not trying to overwork myself. So I already had that awareness of like, this is what's happening. And she was able to confirm that like, yeah, like this is teaching you how to detach, like this desperation of needing things to work out and truly trusting that like everything is going to work out for you in your favor. Like you're fine. And like it's really not as bad as you think it is. So I was just holding on to that all month of May. And I mean, like I wasn't even hitting, just like I really was like, yo, but I kept holding on to like, okay, it's gonna be fine. It's working, it's already worked out, it's fine. Breath break. I don't know if y'all can hear that. um so yeah, I had to hold on to that and be as present as possible. So how that led me down the road, so I was just like, all right, so like beginning mid-May, that's when I really went back because I would start and stop the work on the food play course. And then I finally was like, I had shout out Naked Trumpeter, like really be looking out for me. And the importance of community and relationships is like serious. And that's the space where I'm in, of just like building my relationships. And again, building my relationship, looking at money as a spirit, because it is, and the money, the energy, and like it really does come from you and who you're being. And so sitting with that. But they were like, they're always like, how can I support you? What do you need? And so they were attending an event and they're like, yo, you got some business cards? Like, I'll put them in the gift bag for you. So I'm like, okay. But then I remember seeing something of like, you have this person that's so charismatic and it is so sure of themselves and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, is meant to make all this change in the world. And they get these opportunities, but then they don't have anywhere to send people. Like, how can I continue to work with you? And that's kind of where I was at. I was like, yeah, I got my website and I got this, but like, there's so many different parts of me. So I was like, that lit the fire up under my ass. I was like, okay, well, I got some more business cards printed, had them pick it up to give out, but I was like, okay, like what am I really pushing right now that I really want to like be the thing? And so I was like, the food play course, let me sit, like fucking pull up my boots and get on the ground and fucking crank this shit out. So I finally like started the platform, because I had been doing research for a while of like what platform, because with the adult content, you got to be careful of where it is you're going, or like what you're doing, how you're phrasing things. So I had to do research of like what platform is even going to accept this. So I ended up doing Podia, but then like in Podia has like a trial. So I was like, all right, so I can like use this platform and start, building that up before I have to actually pay for it. And it's a 30-day trial, not like a 7-day trial. So I was like, okay, cool. So if I like start working on this and then I could have it like, you can do pre-orders and things like that. So I was like, all right, well, I can make the day that that they have this event be the day that I create the account and create the landing page. And so I was able to do that in one day, all like in the morning before that event happened. And I was like, okay, so I can start pushing pre-orders as I'm continuing to like work this. So I gave myself a week to finish the course, because I was like, literally everything's there, it's just more so formatting. So I was like, okay, I'm giving myself a week to finish this and crank it out and make it live, because I've been working on it long enough, we're good to go. So I did it. I finished it the day before it was supposed to go live, and I was so fucking excited, right? So pause right there. So last episode I was talking about the Afnan Khalifa comment that I had said. She was like, oh, I want people to be saved and converted and blah 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 blah. So I had commented, and then me and this guy was going back and forth, and I told y'all how the post got deleted. So then I don't remember exactly when, but like randomly a couple days after that, I guess her page got restored, because then I started getting notifications from that comment again, and it started blowing up. Like, so many people were like, oh, you're demonic, you're going to hell. Somebody told me that I was too articulate in the way that I defend myself and defend sex work, that's actually an indicator that I'm not confident and I don't actually enjoy what I do. Somebody else told me that because it was weird, because she was like, oh, I was a 0.2% creator on OnlyFans, and I brought in like, so I think she said at least $1 million. And she's like, multi figures and da da da, and I was doing foot fetish content. So at first I'm thinking that she's like pro sex work, and she's talking about her degrees and all this stuff, which was adding to the point that I made. But then all of a sudden she's like, oh yeah, I'm 99% sure that like if you were either, can I say that on YouTube? I have to block that out. You were basically assaulted in some way as a child, and that's why you chose this line of work, and that's why you chose to be a cum rag for men. It was so many crazy things that people were saying to me, and I'm just like, and then of course you have the classic like, oh, does your family know what you're doing? And I said, yeah, like my family's actually very fucking supportive. Like when I first taught, like I be telling my mom, I talked about in one of the episodes where I told my mom, this is when I still did like tit worship content, and I actually showed my boobs, and I told my mom the price of one of my tit videos, and she was like, bitch, like put a motherfucking price tag on your titties. Who are you talking about? So it's like, it's so funny that people always go, oh, how does your family feel? And it'd be like, whenever you have, usually, and like I understand that even in this line of work, that's a privilege to be able to say like, yes, my family knows what I do, yes, my family supports me, like, and crazy enough, like me and my brother, my brother and I, like, he's like my best friend, and I tell him all types of shit, and he, he like nicknamed me Booger Butt. But it's like, I can go to my brother and I can talk to him. I can talk to him and his girlfriend, like, and I'm now the person that, like, you know, my family comes to me and asks me questions about this, like, and it's not awkward anymore. And it's like, you know, like, whether I'm showing my tits or my poontang or whatever else is nobody's business, because it's mine. And if you're, first of all, I had another nigga that I went to elementary school. I don't remember if we went to high school together, but I know we went to middle school together. And in middle school, this nigga was obsessed with me. And he has shown that, like, even throughout the years, he's still, like, really into me. So he managed, there was like a post that I had reposted in my story that was basically like, you know, sex work is work. And the problem is that people are putting consensual sex workers and human trafficking victims in the same group, and it harms both parties. It does a huge disservice to both parties. So I had reposted that, and then I think I said something about I think I just said like, yeah, sex work is work or something. I don't know. But he comments and he's like, is this really what you do? Just asking. So I had said, like, I'm gonna let you clarify before I get an attitude with you. And so then he blows up on me. How you gonna get an attitude when somebody inquires about your sex work? I really, you know what, never mind. You just gave me all that I needed to know. I never saw you going on a low end of life, but you know it is what it is. Get your bag, no shade. First of all the shade, because if it was no shade, you wouldn't have just did all that you did. Second of all, I ended up saying, and that's exactly why I said, let you clarify before I get an attitude, because you did exactly what I knew you were gonna do. Like the assumption, and I'm a shock value person. At the end of the day, and this is what I've realized through where I'm headed with this point, because it was kind of a sub-tangent, because I almost forgot that happened. But I'm at the point now, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. Point blank, period. Like the only opinion that matters is my own. And that opinion is rooted in, do I feel good? Great. Am I hurting anybody? No. Like, am I hurting people? Yes, consensually. But they literally asked me to come, like, punch them in the nuts or do this or that thing, right? That's different. I'm not putting anybody in a position of harm. Like, you, as an adult, like, I'm working with adults. I'm not working with anybody who's not an adult. As an adult, if you come to me with this conscious, like, you know, whether it's purchasing my content, I am not, especially in that realm, like, okay, even the, oh, well, you know, porn addictions exist. I'm not in anybody's house, gun to head, telling them to pull out their credit card or their whatever and spend their last on a video of me sneezing. They decided to do that. That's a them problem. That's not mine. If there wasn't a demand, I wouldn't be here supplying it. So how you gonna get mad at me for supplying the demand? You need to go find them and help them. If they wasn't looking for this shit, I wouldn't be creating this shit. And then again, in the in person, it's like if somebody come to me and they want me to slap them in the face with my feet, and they want to pay for it, okay. Again, there's a demand and I'm supplying it, and I'm not hurting nobody. Before I do these things, we go through an extensive process of like, what are you getting out of this, or like, what is, there's a conversation and understanding. I'm not going around just forcing people to like let me beat them up for their money. Like, what are we talking about? I'm not beating you up. I'm not fucking you. This isn't really changing your life in any way, shape, or form besides coming across my content on the internet. So why are you so upset? And why are you so obsessed with my relationship with God? Like, I'm having people, oh, well, just because you read the Bible and you go to church, that don't mean you know God. You need to do this, and so you can repent. And you can do you have what you feel is a good relationship with God? Cool. Get the fuck out my business. Me and God are great. Like, we are literally the greatest we've ever been. I keep looking down to make sure this thing is working. So yeah, so that comment blew up, and I found myself like going back and like, saying, and then it hit me once that girl was like, oh, you must have been assaulted. That's when I was like, all right. Like, there is nothing, there's no evidence I could provide, there's nothing that I could say that are going to get these people out of their mind. It's just not. So I stopped responding, and then of course other people came and was like, oh, yes, tell them. You see how the room is silent after you said that? Call them out on their shit. And I'm just like, y'all are miserable. Like, what is happening? Like, y'all don't hear yourselves, and then y'all wonder why everybody be hating Christians and all this other, like, this, that, and the third. Like, y'all sound absolutely insane. Like, so yeah. So then what ended up happening with that is I had ended up making a post where it was like a video of me walking, and I had put like the captions on it, and it was like, go get a real job, make an honest living, stop exploiting yourself. And then I stitched it with a clip from my in-person session in Chicago where I was like slapping the guy in the face with my foot, and I put the overlay of how much he paid for that session. So in total, he paid $1,300 for that session. And it was like, and I had said like, oh, I make in 2 hours what you make in 2 weeks. And we both left feeling great about our places in the world. I posted it and I went about my day. Excuse me. And nothing happened. So then I'm working on a food play course, and I'm just so excited. Like, oh my God, I just spent the last 7 months doing this shit, right? And then around this same time, hey butterfly, around this same time, a motherfucking, the post goes viral. I mean, like, literally in an hour it blew the fuck up, and it was like my phone would not shut up. And then just for the days it just kept going, oh my God. And all of it was like, teach me, how do I get started, how do I sign up? And it was like, at first it was very few, like, oh, she really doing this, she just telling y'all that's what happened, or like the people that's like, oh no, I couldn't do that, it's too much trauma in the room, both of y'all need Jesus. But I barely have any comments like that, but it was a lot of like, teach me. And at first, I was like, oh, hell nah. I was sending people to Mistress Marley. I was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, and not even because I didn't want to. It was because I had just put so much of myself into Feed Your Senses. So in my head, I was like, no, I just did this. This is what's going to make it happen, right? But it just kept going and going and going. So in the community that I'm in, it was like, and to finish part of that thought, I was like, well, I'm going to teach I plan on teaching, and this is something like I'm glad that there's a market, because that was one of the things I wanted to offer this year, was like one-on-one mentoring and teaching like master classes and things. And I have an idea for a bigger program, but in my head I was like, it's going to be later in the year, not right now. Again, because I also spent so much time pouring into this food play course. So I was like, yeah, like I'm telling people, oh, not right now, in a couple of months, but like, here, go this way. So a couple days go past, and I'm like watching a workshop, and that's when Loren had made the comment of like, you're getting in your own way. Not to me directly, but this was said in the workshop, and the Cosmic Baddie Academy. And she had said that she gave the example of like how she had been saying that, like, she wanted this community, and she had noticed that like out of nowhere, her one-on-one readings, like, she wasn't getting booked for any. She's like, I usually have at least like 1 or 2 a week. Like, I have my calendar is kind of busy, but then it was just quiet, like nothing was happening. And then she felt called to like, well, you said you wanted a community, start building that fucking community. And so then, she like was able to recognize that as like a cosmic intervention, and like pushing her in the direction of like, this is where you need to go. And then she started doing that, and then voila, like, would you look at that? All of a sudden, it was like nothing, no dip ever happened, and her clients started coming back, or like she started getting more requests for readings. And so in that moment, it hit me that like, I've been saying I want to teach classes and host this and host that. And clearly, like, because I'm telling y'all, for like at least, I'm still getting hits on that post almost, well, it's not a month later, it's like 2 or 3 weeks later. It's still very prominent. But that first like 3-4 days, especially before I finally was like, fuck it, okay, I'm gonna do the Dom 101 class, my phone would not stop going off. It was pure insanity. And so that's what, then in that moment I realized, like, this is the universe telling you what your next step is. And then I started to really think, I also wanted to talk about spiritual gifts too, because then I also ended up in May, I had attended another summit about psychic gifts and spiritual gifts. And I also had watched one of Queen Poe's videos, and one of the journal prompts she had given was about spiritual gifts, and like, what are ancestral gifts, what have been passed down from you from your ancestors, what is something that is like is a gift within you. And I had really been sitting with like all of these things, and I started thinking about, when we talk about spiritual gifts, most people think of like, clairaudience, clairvoyance, or one of the clairs, or like mediumship or other things like that. But we don't look at things outside of those that seem more supernatural. And I was like, my ancestral gift is teaching. Like, I have so many teachers in my family, and honestly, like, now if you ever learn from me, and just how I be talking is how I teach. Like, I will be saying sometimes I be winging shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I be having a general outline, and then I just feel the passion of the moment, and I just be like, we gonna take it and run with it. And I just teaching makes me so excited. And honestly, I could teach almost anything, right? If I know enough, I go in there, and you would think like, and it's so funny because when I was still in school, I wouldn't have been doing none of the readings, and half the time I didn't know what the hell was going on, but I was able to pick up in the room what was happening, and then I would say some shit, and everybody was like, "You are so profound, girl. I didn't even think about that." And I was like, "Hey, what can I say?" But like, one of my spiritual gifts is teaching. And then, even I think about people who makeup artists, people who are hairstylists, people who are like really into fashion and things. Like, you're also like, if you want to get all witchy woo woo, like, you're a glamour witch. Like, there's so much power in helping someone else feel beautiful about themselves, whether that's helping them pick out makeup, whether that is helping them with their hair, especially Black women. Like, we be going through it with our hair sometimes. Like, speaking of hair, all my locks is combed out. I just dropped part 3, which was recorded in April, but y'all know I be hoarding content sometimes. I recorded that in April, and then I released it this week. And then I recorded part 4 where I finally finished combing out my locks, and then I have another video where I go through the process of like washing, drying, and straightening my hair. So at the time of this recording, I have not edited that yet, but that series is coming to an end. So definitely either catch up with the series to this point or just stay tuned if you are caught up for the other ones that are coming out. And then I also found myself, art is one of my gifts, and it's something that I'm passionate about. So I'm actually right now challenging myself for every day for the next 28 days. And I believe today will be day 14, to make one artwork a day, because I had the realization that, like, art is, I love art. I love looking at art. I love creating art. But in the past, the last time I made a piece of art for myself, this one right here, on the screen for those of you watching, that was made in 2023. Like, that was the last time I made art for myself. Every other piece of artwork has been either for one of my part-time jobs as like a sample, or it's been when I was in school as an assignment, but it hasn't been a piece of artwork for the sole purpose of just making. And so, if I'm calling in this life of like ease and rest and like, making the business work for me, and also getting deeper into my chart, and understanding that literally, like, I've also realized and it's been confirmed for me that I'm meant to be a motherfucking entrepreneur. Like, I'm meant to work for myself. And so I'm definitely at the point of like, kind of going back earlier of how I was saying, like, it's not, I've moved out of the pride of it, of like, this has to make it work because I got approved. And it's like, no, like, it's going to work. It has no choice to work out, because that really is who I am and who I'm meant to be. And what my job is to be present in this moment and enjoy every single part, the highs and the lows, because, when it's low, it feels so fucking low. Like, how am I supposed to get out of that? But then I've shown myself time and time and time and time again, and I'm going to continue to show myself time and time and time again how that low was prepping me for a higher season. Like, when I can really look back and be like, damn, remember that time you thought everything was fucking falling apart, and like, here we are today, girl. Like, like, in I can find, even when I'm in the thick of this shit right now, like, they took my baby yesterday and I didn't cry. Like, I really feel okay about it. Like, I feel good. And honestly, in the month of May, I didn't have to go nowhere. Like, I just took the bus for the first time last week. I think it was like at one point my brother went out of town, so I was able to drive his car. I didn't need to go nowhere. I think I did have an appointment that was pretty far away, so I was able to drive his car to my appointment and like go to my storage unit to pick up some stuff. But then, like, other than that, I got a ride to wherever else I needed to go, and then I took the bus and the train for the last day. And in terms of transportation, I've spent all of like $15 as opposed to like over $1,000 in a month trying to get to places, because I ain't have to go nowhere anyway. Every day I have I've afforded myself. I think I talked about this in calm my ass crack. That was episode 60. But yeah, it was like I talked about, I have afforded myself the freedom to be able to live out my day. Like, I can get up in the morning and go on a walk, either in the morning or in the afternoon, or some days when I'm really feeling like I need to fucking ground myself, I can go on a walk in the morning and in the afternoon. My walk in the morning could be longer or shorter, and then the other one could be the longer or shorter one. Like, I've gone on a walk every day, been able to just like sit with everything, listen to whatever I need to listen to. Like, I turned off my alarm. I don't have to listen to an alarm anymore. I don't have to do all these things. Like, when I had my car, it was like, one, I felt myself just running errands, because for the sake of it. Like, yes, it makes things convenient, but it's like, okay, I feel like I need to go here, or I need to offer somebody a ride, because like, I'm then becoming like, if I'm paying for this car, I need to use it. That's definitely how I was feeling. And so now it's like I let my car just sit there for a month, and it was like, everything's okay. Like, you're gonna be fine without the fucking car. And I kind of mentioned in some of the earlier episodes of that also, like, I'm not tripping, because I have inherited a vehicle. I just haven't gotten my hands on that vehicle because it's been wrapped up in all this legal shit. And at one point it was like, again, so going back to like, things always work out for you, like, in having that perspective, because I hinted at it, but I didn't say exactly what it was. And that was episode, I think, 61 one wake up crack, and I was talking about how I inherited this thing, and in my head I was like, okay, great, like, because this is when I was in the thick of like, all right, I gotta figure out how all this shit was gonna work. My mom had bailed me out, and I was like, okay, so now I inherited this car, I'm gonna get it, it's gonna be quick, easy, I could sell that shit, I could make my way down to North Carolina, cool. And it was like, I could see how, one, I talked about in the episode how it was a good thing I didn't fucking get to North Carolina when I thought I needed to be down there so bad. It was a good thing that I didn't sell the car in that instance, because I could also see how my relationship with money was not at all where it needed to be for me to be the highest version of myself. So I could see just as quickly as I sold that car to get that money, how quickly it would have left, because I had no space to hold on to that kind of money. And now I'm like, all right, well, I let go of my car, but now here I am. Eventually, when all this shit works out, like, I'm gonna have a brand newer car. It's not a 2024, but it is like in the 2020s. It's like, okay, I have a brand newer car and it's fully paid off. Like, I won't have to worry about nothing. So even that, and it's like, I let go of the attachment to that a while ago. So now I'm just in the space of, again, like, whenever that shit work out for me, that shit's gonna work out for me. But I'm fine. Like, I obviously don't need a car. I'm doing fine without it. And when the universe is ready to hand that shit over, I'm gonna be like, hey, click, click, beep, beep, chirp, chirp, like all of that shit. So it's cool. Like, it's not the end of the world that I thought it was gonna be. And then, like, part of me was like, I want to make sure I'm touching on all the things. Yeah, I thought that, like, because then part of me was like, oh, well, the repossession and da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, there was the embarrassment of, like, how you saying, how you a dom and you bringing in all this money and you can't even afford a car, and what they gonna say about this? Again, who the fuck has to say anything about anything? Because in the same token that I was like, oh, well, sub can just, like, fucking pay off my car that quick. A well sub, when the perfect well sub, and if that's you, obviously this is your sign to cash at me. $ Temptress Mango, okay? Or Throne. Clock it. Clock it. But anyway, yeah, I'm like, in that same token that they can just pay off the car and I could keep the car, they can pay off the fucking remaining balance on the car. And I could be done with it, and like, yeah, okay, it's gonna stay on your credit report, because the difference between like when they come and snatch your shit versus when you give it up is it looked the same on a credit report. There's no difference. They're just gonna be more willing to work with you because you didn't make them come outside to come get your shit. Like, that's the only difference. But it's still, they've made it like, oh, you sure you don't want to do? I'm like, baby, if I had another option, I would not be calling y'all right now. Y'all don't think I Googled that shit first? Like, I did not want to call y'all and tell y'all to come pick up my shit. But it's like, they're like, well, it's going to be on your credit report for 7 years, and it's going to affect your borrowing power, your purchasing power, and I'm like, we are on a motherfucking floating rock, and we decided to let someone else tell us that all this shit is real. Like, is it real? Yes. But, like, we just all fucking transported here and just allowed some, and it was probably a white man, let some fucking white man tell us that this is how life should be, and this is what's real. And it's just like, what the fuck? And so credit scores are not real. Credit scores were born through systemic racism. Like, they were a part of redlining and, like, preventing Black families from getting mortgages to buy a house and build that generational wealth. So again, it's like, what the fuck is a credit score going to do? And again, I'm calling it a life where I have so much money that I don't even have to borrow money from lenders. I don't need to take out a loan because I have enough money in my business to just pay shit outright or do my own payment plan if it really is, if I feel called to do a payment plan instead of paying a full. But the life that I know I'm living, like, that I am living, I'm living in the presence of it and knowing that it's just, time is not real. It could be here by the time, listen, I put my phone on do not disturb so that I can record. So who knows? By the time I finish recording this, I could look and then somebody done found me and sent me $10,000. And yay, my life is great. But my life is going to be great regardless. Like, I am not the money that I make. And so yeah, I was just like, detaching from all of that. And I'm like, I can always, make the payments and do whatever, pay it in full once that money realizes itself in my bank account. And then I'll be done with that. And then, I can make some calls after a while and be like, yo, remove this shit off of my credit. And then, baham, like, here we go. None of that shit was real in the first place. Or even like, there was another point that I was going to say that I kind of, I forgot in the middle of my sentence. Um, yeah, but basically, just like credit scores are not fucking real. Um, and that doesn't. It says nothing about me or who I am or what I'm calling in. It doesn't negate those experiences, right? And again, like for me, I had to sit with that all of May, because even when it happened, I was like, oh, okay, I'm a make a video and talk about spiritually bypassing and da da da. But there was still some embarrassment in that. Um, But, here we are. Like, fuck it. It's life. Like, so the fuck what? That shit happened. It happened. But the sun is still shining. I still feel great. I'm still bringing in money. Like, it is what it is. But the most important part of all of it is like, I'm not anxious no more. I don't know if I mentioned I had been talking to Unicorn, but, she mentioned how she was like, yeah, girl, like she's from Virginia, but then she moved out Cali. She was out Cali for 3 years, and now she in Chicago. And she was like, my car has been in Virginia ever since I left. Like, and even before then, I really didn't like I don't drive my shit. She's like a first class passenger princess. She's like, I Uber wherever I need to go, or my girlfriend take me where I need to go. And I'm like, I know that's right. I've been enjoying the fuck out of passenger princess life. And it's like when I really sat down with it, I did not need to go nowhere. Anywhere that I had to go or ended up going, I rode with somebody else, or it just worked out. Like, it was just like I had all this hang up to my car, and obviously grateful, and it's like the convenience of it as someone who has had a car damn near consistently. Like, I had my first car, and then probably like a couple days later, after I had totaled, well, I didn't total that car broke down on me. Rest in peace, Bella. But um after that happened, a couple of days later, I was able to get another car, and then I totaled that car, and then maybe a month and a half went by between when I was able to get my car. But even then, like, I was able, like, I had people who had extra cars that let me borrow their cars in that time frame. And then I got, my next car, and then I traded in that car for this car. And it's just like, again, before I had access to all these cars in this way around, I had my 2 feet that get me wherever I need to fucking go. And I can do the Ubers and the bus and the train. So again, it's not the end of the world. And all that money that I was putting into stuff can now go to other things that are not giving me as much stress. Like, that's the point that I'm going to. It's like, I'm so much more carefree now. I don't have to worry about how am I going to afford every single thing. And when I look down, there's another person that I like to watch for like money stuff, Rose Hahn. I watched one of her videos the other day, and it was like, what is your enough number? Like, what do you, because we also live in this world, and especially in this world, it's like, in the sex work and findom and everything else, and knowing that like these high ticket clients exist, these clients who are paying for sessions, I know that they exist. And so it's like, you see so many people on the internet, because again, you're building a brand, you're building a business, so you have to market, you have to put yourself out there. And you see, and one of the things in findom is like almost bragging, like showing what you're getting, right? And so it's like you see all these people like, oh, I gotta send for this, and I got this sub doing this, and da da da. So then it's like, it's almost embarrassing of like, okay, well, yeah, I'm successful in my business, but I'm not this successful. I'm successful enough at this moment to get by. So now what do I look like, making a GoFundMe page, or saying that, like, I don't have this, or I don't have that. And it almost feels like, are you really as dominant as you say you are? So then all of a sudden you get tied up in this, like, this identity of like, oh, can I really be like this badass bitch just like doing this, that, and the third? Like, because even I mentioned in the last episode that was my first, like, I had my first 2 sessions finally after so long. Here I am having my two first in-person sessions. But even how much, like, even when I talked to Naked Trumpeter, they were like, yeah, so like, tell me about Chicago and da da da. And I was like, oh yeah, like, I only had this. And they were like, girl, only. And I think I had talked to them earlier that day, and I don't know if I mentioned it in the last episode, but they were like, only. Like, do you know how many times we've had conversations where I remember it was that one time where they were like, I was like, oh, like sometimes I don't feel like I'm dominant enough, or like I'm not really real or who I say I am because I haven't had an in-person session yet. And they're like, you took customs, right? You did this, you did that. Like, shut the fuck up talking to me, because like you're legit as possible and you know what the fuck you're doing. Like, again, what is it to be able to say you're a dom and yeah, you make all this money, but you don't actually understand what the fuck you're even doing. Like, you don't understand how this is transformative and healing and what this work can really do and bring out of people. Like, okay, yeah, you take all this money, like there's so many, again, like you're not practicing ethically. You're just doing it for the clout. And that's kind of what, for those of you who, if you're still listening and here and interested and feeling called to join Domination 101, Build Your Brand, Rule Your World, that is one of the things that I'm really talking about, is that like finding what is your version of paradise. When you are building your Dom brand, your Dom persona, it's like you call the shots. Like, this is your business. It really is a business. So what is your protocol for clients to reach out to you? What does your session look like? Like, what do you allow how do you allow people to approach you? What type of sessions do you even offer? Are you going to, are you going to present yourself nude in front of your clients, or allow them to engage in maybe something that is a little bit more sexual with you or not? Like, and that doesn't, you don't have to, this idea that all domination is this hardcore beating people up. And of course it can be that, and sometimes it's fun, because even when I first got into this shit, I was like, what do you mean men want to pay me to humiliate them? Like, I could not grasp myself. I could not grasp my head around humiliation. And I talk about this in episode 59. Like, it didn't make any sense to me, and it was so hard for me, and I always felt squeamish. But now I'm just like, that should just be rolling off the tongue. And like, I really built this, because even like the Real Mistress Goddess Princess, when I first started, I don't even think I got the idea of that part of my persona. That didn't even come until like maybe year 2 that I had been doing it, or maybe year 1, but it definitely wasn't like right off the gate that was part of who I was. And so really just, you're building your brand so that you can rule your world. And what does the perfect world look like for you? Like, it has so much potential. And I've talked about, again, how like for me, some people are naturally dominant, and some people, it is about them stepping into their dominance. Like, I've definitely always been, a dominant energy, a dominant, yeah, a dominant energy. But specifically in relationships, like, I was a little bit more sub-leaning and not assertive in like what I wanted for myself, and quickly shutting down. So for me, this journey has been about that. And I can just see how like I'm not taking shit from no one anymore, because I'm rooted in who I am. I don't know if somebody's son is getting yelled at. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Is this still okay? This is still recording. I feel like I'm gonna take a breath break, because I feel like there was something else I wanted to say. I am gonna wrap it up soon. A point that I somewhat finished, but yeah, it was like me, how I went on that, me negating myself, because I was like, like, oh yeah, I finally, when I had told Naked the Trumpeter, I was like, yeah, I only had 2 sessions in Chicago. Like, I finally, they were like, bitch, remember when we was in the car and you was talking about this and the third, and I had to check you then? Like, okay, only you did that shit, and it's only up from here. Like, what are we talking about? So that was a nice reality check. So even when I was making that post, there was almost a part of me that had a little bit of imposter syndrome of like, okay, you're making this post, and like, yes, it's true, you made what somebody else makes in 2 weeks in 2 hours, but like, you're not, there was that part of me that's like, okay, but you're not consistently doing that yet. So like, who are you to really say that? And it's like, if I did that shit once, I could do it again, and I can keep fucking doing it. Like, and it still doesn't negate the experience of it. And again, like, you are calling in for this to be your life, like, honestly. And to, like I've been saying, like, that's part of, you know this whole experience of this spiritual bypassing that I've been doing has been one of the most frustrating parts. That it's like, all right, like, I know that I'm meant to be on this path. I know that this is what I'm doing. I feel so good. I feel the most myself I've ever felt. And really all it would take, like, once I raise my prices, it was like, all I need to be good is like anywhere between, to meet my enough number, because I started talking about that with Rose Hahn. She was like, how much do you actually need to just be okay? Because we get caught up in this idea, especially entrepreneurs and people who are already bringing in the $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Like, you often find yourself, and whether it's with like entrepreneurship or whatever, we find ourselves not celebrating the things like we don't give ourselves enough credit for being where we are today, and realizing that like where we are now, whatever that looks like, there is some part of where we are now. We used to pray for this, whatever that quote unquote prayer looks like for you, but we used to pray to be right here, whether that is like the physical material or just feeling better about yourself, right? So it's like we don't give ourselves enough credit and recognition for that growth. So then you I need to I'm definitely taking a shower once I get back in. Damn. Think, Mango. We don't give ourselves enough credit. And we're constantly reaching for the next goalpost, and we don't sit with that win long enough to realize, like, to really celebrate that and realize like how much growth that fucking was. So it's like, okay, I found myself like, yay, okay, I got my first 2 sessions, and immediately going like, okay, now I need to have this many sessions, so that I can do this, and it's like, girl, relax, like, sit in the celebration and milk the shit out of that win. Because remember when you first started, like, here you are 3 years in, and you finally got what you wanted, right? And not comparing yourself to, and that doesn't, and not negating, because again, that's just the paid session. Like, there's so many other experiences that I got that helped me feel confident enough to have a session. Because my first session was that double dom session with Bad Bitch, and then I was able to have a session by myself. But like, I'm so confident and sure of myself as a person, as where I'm headed in this career, of myself with my dom persona and my dom energy, that like, it was a piece of cake. That 2-hour session, that client went so fucking fast. It went so fucking fast. And yeah, but then, so back to the spiritually bypassing, it was like, okay, I found myself kind of going into like the logistics of it. It was like, okay, well, you know, so if I have this many clients a month and then I'll be able to reach this goal that I have for myself, when really all I need to have enough, and this includes like putting a little bit away for savings, taking care of all of the basic bills that I have, not like reaching for other things. With my pricing structure, session wise, all I need is at least, let me see, I would need either 4 2-hour sessions. No, 2 4-hour sessions. Or, yeah, I would need like 4 hours a month. 4 hours a month to be able to meet that. And that's just off sessions. That's not including all the income that I get from my that's not including all the income that I get from like my clip sites. That's not all the income that I do get from like the part-time jobs, because I still have my part-time jobs because I actually enjoy the shit that I do. Like, do I sign up as much as I used to? No, but I still fucking enjoy it here and there. I like that choice to be able to do that. That's not including just random tributes I might get. That's not including random like fucking checks in the mail or whatever other form of income, because I've also been shown how many ways that money, like when I was at EXXXOTICA, I was literally minding my business, sitting at the booth with BB, and then some person had walked past and read my sign that had said like I was teaching a class, and then they came back like a few minutes later and was like, "Are you Mango?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Here," and handed me $20, and I was like, "What's this for?" And they were just like a tip. And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And they're like, "You're welcome. Have a great day," and walked away. And I was like, what? Like, and so it's just, you know, so again, it's like just to have enough and be able to just not look over my shoulder constantly, it doesn't require that much work for me. And then again, it's like, I'm in the process of building these systems of like, once I teach, if you can't, oh, that's the other thing. So for the Domination 101 course, tickets are on a sliding scale. The tickets are, they range from $30 to $70. $30, you have to use code SLIDE30 at the time of this recording. I think there's only 9 tickets left for that. And then the standard, this quote unquote standard price is SLIDE50, so that's unlimited tickets. $50. And then there's the pay it forward. So when you click on the link, it's going to say that it's $70, but it'll reduce if you use code SLIDE30 or SLIDE50. But if you keep it at the standard price, the bonus gift is a free one-on-one with me. So that's the full price thing. But yes, tickets are available for $30 or $50. And so like, even with that, it's like, okay, so I have the food play course and I'm pushing that, and then sales will be rolling in for that. So that is how money could come. And even this course at this time right now, like, I be minding my business, and then I go to my phone and I see that I done had a sale or another sale, multiple sales in a day. And like, or, I haven't really been posting on ManyVids that much, because I moved away from that platform. But in the last time I checked, I had like a $14, I had like $14 in the account, and then yesterday I got a random deposit of $60, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And even now, it's been like, as I'm moving into June, it's like I'm still kind of at the same boat as I was last month of like, I don't know where money is coming from, but I feel so much better. And I can see how, since I've gotten out of my own way, it's just flowing in. I'm not putting so much pressure and attachment of like, oh my God, I need to do this thing to make sure. I probably do 1 or 2 things that are business related a day, and then I go do whatever the fuck else I want to do. So whether that's uploading or editing or whatever, but I stopped putting so much pressure into it. I have to do this thing because I have to. Like, the moment you're asking yourself, how is something going to get done, and the moment you're telling yourself you have to do something, no, you get to. Like, I get to work on my business. I get to build my business. I get to be present and see how, like, those moments where I was just like crying, like, oh my God, why is the Lord forsaking me? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I get to see how I have evolved from that energy of desperation, please work out to me, to just trusting and embodying and knowing that, like, I am on the right path and it's working. Like, it's already worked out for me. And even just like this feeling of lightness is just such a progression. So yeah, and like, so far I've had many moments. Just, we're only 5 days in, but I definitely, since June 1st, I was like, what the fuck? And I've had some moments where literally, like, my bank account has been nearly $0, and I'm just like, fuck it. I'm trusting that it's going to work out. And then I'll do whatever I need to do, take care of it. Like, literally every bill so far since June has started has been taken care of. And I've also been able to do other things that, I could see myself a month ago or however long ago, even shit, a week ago, where I would have been like, oh, I can't afford that. I can't do that. Cancel, clear, delete. But like, in this very, this very prohibitive state, and just telling myself that, denying myself these things that I either want or know would help me, would boost me to wherever I want or need to be. And every single time I've seen how I've just been like, fuck it, we're going to do the thing, it's going to work out, and then went about my day. And really also being present with myself as I'm making the decision. So again, that part of embodiment and what Taylor was talking about is like, giving yourself enough space to see, like, so for instance, how I even ended up in her VIP stay in the magic. So it was like I think, like, I honestly sometimes, because I find myself in this space of like, oh, you're consuming too much and not creating enough. And so sometimes I find myself in that loop of like, you're consuming, and that's where I'm trying to move out of. Like, okay, I'm creating, I'm not consuming as much. And I have certain people that I will consume from because I know that their message resonates with me more than others. And so I had been checked out because she's doing this challenge right now that's like she's going live every day for like a year. And I'm like, shout out to you, girl. And part of me was like, ooh, maybe I should do that. But Instagram is a motherfucking hater because they blocked me from going live for a year, which I don't even be going live. Crazy. And then they just blocked me for the next month from posting links. But I'm still making the masterclass sales, okay? But anyway, so yeah, it was like something just, I felt like I was watching her lives like every day at first, then I kind of checked out. And then I don't know if I had watched one of her lives or if I just happened to find myself on YouTube and she had posted this video, and it was like either right before or right after Memorial Day. And she was talking about how she was gonna have this stay in the magic thing, and she was like, oh, it was only $17, right? So I was like, oh, okay, let me like give her about $17, let me go check that out. And I went to go check it out, and it was like on sale for $7. I said, oh shit, yeah. And like I've worked with, like, obviously I engaged with her content, and then she had this other offer, sustainable expansion, so I had bought that. And even that, it was like when I had watched the video she was talking about it was like $33. I was like, oh yeah, $33. And then I went to go buy it, and the price had jumped up to $97, and I was like, shit me. So then I ended up buying it anyway, because I sat with myself, this is where the whole point was going. It was like, who have I been and who am I being? And I'm like, the version of me, I have this money. I have the money to be able to afford this. And obviously I found value in her work before. So I know that it's worth my $97. And is me spending, like, how am I and who am I being as I'm spending this money? Am I adverse to spending $97 right now because I really, really was attached to the $33, and I'm thinking if I spend this $97 on this right now, it won't come back to me? That's operating from scarcity mindset. And it's like, that was part of me having to trust. So I went and spent the money on it, and it was a helpful program. So then with this, it was like, I went and I was expecting the $17, and then it was like, it was still on sale for $7. I said, oh shit, yeah. So then that's when, we started talking more, because at this point I'm just like, I had attended one of her other like free master classes, but I don't think she was familiar with me. And then she had ended up shouting me out on a live because she was really excited about she had been really excited about this thing, and she was talking about, the idea of staying in the magic is like detaching from stop giving the external so much power over the narrative of who you are. Just because you're not making sales, that doesn't mean that you're not successful. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean you're not qualified to be doing what you're doing necessarily. And just stay in the magic, like knowing that what you have to offer is like, you are being manifested. There's another creator that I watch here and there, L10. And he talks about the same thing, like, you are being manifested. Everyone is you pushed out. And so it's like, you obviously have these desires and these wants and needs because there's someone out here that can bring that out of you, that has what you're looking for, like that you are the missing piece to their problem, like you are the solution. And that there really is, like, obviously you have this because it is being called on. Whatever it is that you have the desire for, there's someone there looking for you. So you have to be visible and be present and stay with your vision in order to like bring it to life. And so yeah, she was really excited. She was talking about like staying in the magic, and that's how I had already found myself being in May. Like, I was already in that space. And then I watched that video and I was like, ooh, okay, VIP. So then I think at that point, I think either like the next day or whenever, shortly after that, either just before that or shortly after that, I had launched ticket sales. So if you're not following me on Instagram, Tintress Mango, but also for the podcast, Two Scrippers, One Pole, 2SKRIPPAS, 1 POLE. I promise y'all I'm gonna wrap it up soon. But she, in this live, I think I had watched it just after she had got off, and she was basically celebrating the people who had purchased a ticket. And she was like, I got 7 sales and da-da-da, like, I'm just so excited, I can't wait, this, that, and the third. And then it was like basically what she was saying that stood out to me. And I ended up, it called me to comment. Like I was like, oh, that's me. Like you shouted me out, and I just want to say I'm so excited and da da da. And I came across your video last night when I had purchased the ticket, and what you had been saying was really sitting on my heart and just like sitting in that, you know, energy of just staying in the magic and trusting. And I went about my day. And then when I came back, I got the first 2 sales to my workshop, and I was just so excited. So then she was like celebrating that, and so we've just been having a time. And so she's like, "Yes, you're gonna keep getting those sales." And so I'm grateful. At the time of this recording, I have 6 ticket sales, and I still have, you know, until June 24th. Like, so I'm just excited. I'm excited when I get like a Stripe payment. I'm like, ooh, somebody else signed up. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait to share what I have. And so yeah, we were like, I was watching another one of her lives, and we were talking, and she called me out. She was like, I've been waiting for you to join VIP, da da da. And so I was like, oh yeah, you know, May was a slow month for me, and you know, it's not really in the budget, knowing that I had just enough to cover it. And I knew that I was going to have more coming in, but I also knew that there were like, you know, there were a couple payments pending. So like my account wasn't as reflective. So I was giving a lot of power to the external. So, you know, she had like, you know, she was like, okay, yeah, I respect that, da da da. But then she also was just like, you know, is also looking at like, is that like a fear of like, it's not going to replenish itself. And so I had like sat, and I had to have a moment. I was like, okay, I looked at the numbers. I was like, okay, well, I know that this deposit is pending and da 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 da. And so, like, theoretically, I will have enough for everything. Like, everything that needs to be taken care of this week will be taken care of. And I was like, so then I kind of sat with it, like, okay, am I feeling like I know that this is a decision I want to make, but in this moment, is this something that I'm feeling pressured to do because I was called out? Is it something that I feel is genuinely the next move? Is this something that, like, really just feel sitting in that moment of like, because you know, of course, the Virgo analytical mind was like, logistics, bitch, and I was just like, ah. But as I've been talking about, is this separation of self, of like inner child me, human me, and higher self me. And really, as I'm making these decisions for, you know, and my higher self is Mango. Like, Mango called the shots because Mango know what the fuck is going on. Mango got me here today. So like, I really find myself, it's like I'm creating this space between these decisions, between Mango and my human self. And I'm just like, okay, this is how Mango is operating. And in that same instance, this is how I do it personally. It's like I'm also talking to, you know, my inner child and my human self of like, I know you're scared, and I know that like this is a big adjustment for you, but you know, this is what we said we wanted, right? Okay, so this is the decision that we have to make, and we trust and we know. Remember all them times when we were like, ah, and remember where you weren't listening to me? Remember when you weren't listening to Mango? Like you thought it was nice, but you weren't actually like there with me and how and understanding how this is gonna go. And even some people might be like, that still don't make sense to them. But this is how I've been able to process this, is like literally having a powwow with myself of like, it's the 3 of us. And I know y'all 2 are scared, but like we got each other. We're good. And so yeah, so I was like, all right, fuck it. Like, okay, I'm gonna have just enough for everything to play out. So I went, bought that ticket, and literally woke up to a deposit in the morning. And it was like, okay. So then even yesterday, it was like I had to pay for something, and then I had to catch the train, and then I literally had like maybe $3. I had like $3 in my account after everything had been paid for. And I was just like, well, okay. And then literally probably a couple hours later, I had a deposit in my account. And so it's just like, that's where I'm at right now. Just like, you know, I have fully surrendered, and I have seen, like, I believe, and now I'm being called to be like, if you believe, you got to move like you believe, and you know. So that's where I am. And so far, for the past couple of weeks, since I've stepped back and got out of my own fucking way, everything has been working out. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, shit, I'm having fun. Like, okay, fuck it. Like, I'm going to do this thing, and I can't wait to see how the universe responds. Like, I can't wait to see what's going to be my next deposit, or how this money's going to come to me, and da-da-da. And I'm also writing letters to money every day. And I've given, you know, I've watched a lot of things about money over the past couple of months about, like, you know, building a relationship, and people say name your money because money is a spirit. But what is your relationship with money? Like, how do you want money to treat you and feel supportive? That was another thing I wanted to touch on really quick, and then I promise y'all I'm gonna wrap it up. Attachment styles. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about, like, how you are with one thing is how you're going to show up with everything. And so you have, like, secure, you have anxious, you have avoidant dismissive, and avoidant fearful. And I feel like I teeter, because when you look it up, it's a little bit confusing to see, like, some of the things. I'm like, some parts of me, I know I'm moving towards secure. The goal is to be secure, right? But it's like some readings I'll be like, I feel like overall I'm definitely in the avoidant category. More so I would say avoidant dismissive. But I could see how, like, according to some definitions I could be anxious, and according to some definitions I could be avoidant fearful. But I think in general my relationship with most things is avoidant, of like, whether, you know, I'll put my foot out there, and if I don't get the response that I feel like I should get or I want, I'll just pretend like it don't happen, or I'll just shut down and be like, all right, whatever, fuck it. Like, and so I definitely see how, like, even with this whole spiritually bypassing thing of, like, avoiding the actual action I had to take because I was hoping somebody else was going to do it. I was hoping spirit, source, God, universe was going to take care of it. I was hoping that, like, this whale sub is going to fall out of the sky and just take care of all of my problems, which obviously, again, can happen at any moment and will happen. Dollar sign temptress mango, mangosparadise.com. But it's like I could see how I was avoidant in that situation, and just, like, get somebody else to do it. So yeah, Mango's message, because I do genuinely feel like I have touched on everything that I want to do, wanted to say. Yeah, just like, what is something that you really want in life, and what is getting in the way of you doing that? What is making your path so resistant? And realizing how that is just a story that has been created to keep you where you are and keeping you in a loop. Where are you consciously or subconsciously inviting chaos instead of letting it be easy? Where are you handing more power to people, places, things outside of yourself, to the external? Because as below, so as within, so without. I forget, it's so many different renditions of that, but, like, literally reality is a mirror. Looking at everything is feedback, because even when I had my reading, it was like, May, for me, I could have gone into the story of, oh my God, this is a famine. I gotta produce more content. I gotta do this. I gotta, you know, overwork myself to try to make up for the income I'm not seeing. Or I can understand that, like, May for me was actually about detachment. It's like detaching, knowing that I am more than what my external reality is. So using that as feedback of, like, okay, and understanding also that reality is a delay. It's like, it's from, and time is a construct. Time is created because in the quantum field, things are constantly moving and constantly shifting. Even when we feel like nothing is moving, it's always shifting. And if our external truly moved as fast as the spirit realm does, we would go crazy, because it's constant. Like, it will be constant, you know, just, you can't stay present in this moment because everything is, like, from the neck. So time exists so that we can stay grounded and not just fucking lose our fucking mind. So yeah, and so looking at it of that, of like, okay, so everything exists in the now, and right now I truly am taken care of. I have every single thing that I need. And yeah, I could be sitting here crying and upset about, oh, I had to repo my car, and oh, that makes me look like I'm broke and I can't afford this, and da 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 da, and blah blah blah. Or I could be anxious of like, okay, well, how am I going to start paying for, once they send me the remaining balance after they put my car in auction, how am I going to be paying for that? And I need to start preparing myself to take care of that. Or, I'm going to make sure that when I get my next car that I don't do this and blah, 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 and start creating that stories. Or just being in now, like, okay, yeah, they came and took my baby away yesterday, but the world didn't end. I'm okay. It's always okay. I'm always okay. I'm always supported. I'm always taken care of. So yeah. How can you stay present with what is and not give stories to it, not not give it power? So with that being said, yes, follow Instagram 2scripters1pole at gmail.com. Definitely check out the Feed Your Senses food play course. My women, my days and downs, Dom 101, use code slide 30 or slide 50 to receive discounted tickets. If you pay the $70 ticket, then you will get a free one-on-one with me. If you are a sub, why the fuck haven't you cashed at me yet? $ Temptress Mango. Or why haven't you booked a session with me? mangosparadise.com. I feel like that's it. That's all. Oh, see y'all in Minneapolis if y'all can make it out there. Oh, okay, I promise y'all this is it. So unfinished thought from last week, and I promise y'all I'm gonna wrap it up. So I had mentioned how I like asking people what their stories are of like, how did you find out that you was interested in this fetish or this kink, right? So I had been talking about the guy who was in human furniture, and he was like, when he was a kid, he was at school and he was having a rough day. It just was not going in his favor. And he was sitting on the bench. And these two girls had came over and kept telling him to get his ass up. And he was like, no, I'm not getting up. So they was going back and forth. They was like, go to the other bench. He was like, no, 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 no. So finally, they were like, fuck it. And they just sat on him. What? He was like, yeah, like they just sat on me. And then they ended up getting onto like the top, like the head of the bench, and then they had their feet on him, and he was like, I just felt so calm, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, and then every day after that, I used to go to the park bench and lay down hoping that they would do it again, and they never did. And in the second story, this guy, I was asking him like, okay, so when did you find out about foot fetish? And he was like, for him it was pre-K. I was like, oh, okay, that was early. He was like, yeah, he got in trouble for sniffing the teacher's feet. And I said, wait a minute. What? So he was like, he was like, oh, it's a beautiful blue butterfly. He was like, it was nap time. And the teacher was at the desk, and his like little like mat was near the teacher's desk, and she had on flats, and she was like doing a thing where she was like kind of just like, for those of you watching, like she was kind of had her shoe hanging off her foot like that, and was like wagging her foot, and so then he just sniffed her feet. He was like, they ended up having like a parent teacher conference about it and everything. Like he got in trouble, and I was just like, so I love hearing stories like that because that shit is fucking hilarious to me. But yeah, that was my unfinished thought from last week. So again, 2scripters1pole, send stories, questions, topics to 2scripters1pole at gmail.com. Follow Instagram 2scripters1pole. What else? Follow me on Instagram, Temptress Mango. Check out the courses. If you're a sub, book a session, send a tribute, come correctly, make sure you read, capitalize my honorifics, leave comments below. Like, also let me know what y'all want me to talk about. Like, y'all get what the fuck I give y'all always, but like I also need some interaction. Let your girl know what's up. Okay, be safe, make good choices, y'all. Bye.